Picture this. It's just past dawn on a morning, well, very much like today, August 24, 2025. We're in the Hoshiarpur district of Punjab, quite a bustling place.
Right.
For so many families, it's just the start of another day, the usual sounds of life kicking off.
Mm-hmm.
But for others, that specific morning, it
Well,
became the moment that would forever define tragedy.
absolutely.
Today, we're diving deep into something truly catastrophic that happened there, a devastating LPG tanker fire.
Yeah, it's a story that involves, obviously, profound loss, almost unimaginable loss.
It really is. But it's also, I think, a story that helps unravel some critical insights, right? About industrial safety, community resilience.
And that whole balance, or sometimes imbalance, between progress and, well, basic protection.
Exactly. What happened in Dasuya, it offers this kind of stark microcosm, doesn't it, of challenges faced in rapidly industrializing regions. Maybe not just in India, but all over.
That's a key point. Our mission today, really, is to try and go beyond just the headlines.
Yeah.
To understand not just what happened, but get into the why. Uncover the human stories behind the statistics. Look at the immediate impacts, the underlying causes.
And crucially, the lessons. What can we actually learn from this?
Precisely. We want to help you, our listener, get a better handle on how events like this resonate, far beyond their immediate location. They touch on these universal questions of safety, accountability.
Yeah, who's responsible when things go so wrong?
Right.
And the immediate impact you mentioned, it was just heartbreaking. 7 lives gone.
7 people. And over 30 injured, many critically, with horrific burns.
And homes just gone.
Yeah.
Reduced to rubble. This
Yeah.
wasn't some minor incident. It was a full-blown inferno that tore through an entire community.
They ripped the heart out of it, really.
To really get a sense of the devastation, I think we need to rewind a bit, go back to the hours leading up to it.
Oh, do that.
So let's try and picture the industrial estate in Dasuya Hoshir. Sun's barely up. Workers are just starting to arrive. There's that sort of low hum of machinery starting the day. Familiar sounds.
The start of a normal workday, seemingly.
Exactly. But hidden in plain sight, almost, was this silent, deadly threat. An LPG tanker just parked there, looking innocent enough.
But it wasn't.
No, it was leaking gas, apparently from a faulty valve.
And what's really chilling about this, what makes it even more tragic, is that the smell, that unmistakable odor of LPG.
Can't miss it, usually.
Right. It had apparently been permeating the air for hours before the explosion. Hours.
That's incredible. A warning sign just hanging in the air.
A clear, unheeded warning. We learned that workers nearby, they later admitted they thought it was normal.
Normal? How could leaking gas be normal?
Well, maybe not normal, but perhaps familiar enough not to trigger immediate alarm. They were completely oblivious to the grave danger literally accumulating around them.
Wow. That lack of recognition, that normalization of risk, as you put it,
Yeah.
that's terrifying.
It's a critical piece of the puzzle, understanding how these things escalate.
And then it happened. Around 5:30 a.m., that ticking time bomb finally ignited.
The spark met the gas.
Yeah, a spark, who knows exactly from where, maybe electrical, maybe a stray flame. It met that invisible cloud of highly volatile gas.
And the result.
Just a deafening explosion. A fireball, apparently, that shot high into the sky. People saw it for miles.
The immediate devastation must have been immense.
Yeah.
Indiscriminate.
Totally. The blast wave just shattered windows, collapsed walls, set fire to everything nearby. Instantly.
And those nearby homes?
Yep.
You mentioned modest structures, families living there.
They bore the brunt of it. Just horrific. The toll was so swished, so brutal. 5 people, including 2 women and a young girl, they died instantly.
Instantly. No chance.
None. And then, as the rescue efforts frantically began, they found 2 more bodies in the wreckage.
Bringing the total to 7.
7 lives lost. And the injured, streaming into local hospitals, many in critical condition, severe burns.
Hospitals were just overwhelmed. They had to declare an emergency just to cope with the sheer volume and severity of the injuries.
We often talk about numbers in these situations, but these disasters, they're never just statistics, are they? They're intensely personal.
Absolutely not. Behind every number is a name, a family, a life cut short, or forever changed.
Can you share some of those stories? Put some faces to this immense loss.
Yes, I think it's crucial.
Yep.
One story that really stays with you is 12-year-old Priya.
12 years old.
Just a child. Described as bright, curious, apparently dreamed of becoming a doctor. She was asleep. Her small home was very close to the industrial estate.
Oh.
Too close.
Oh, no.
When the explosion ripped through, it trapped her inside. Her mother, Sunita, she survived but with terrible burns.
And she couldn't reach her.
She recounted these desperate, just futile attempts to get to her daughter through the flames. Imagine that agony. A mother fighting fire to save her child and failing. It's unbearable.
Unimaginable. And it's not just the immediate loss of life, right? The ripples spread outwards.
Exactly. Then there's the story of Rajesh Kumar, 45 years old, a daily wage worker, known apparently for being quite cheerful, devoted father of 3.
Just a regular guy trying to make a living.
Precisely. He was, tragically, near the tanker itself when it went off.
Right at the epicenter.
Seems like it. Hours later, his body was found, charred beyond recognition.
God.
His wife, Manpreet Kaur, she's now left grappling with this enormous void, figuring out how to raise 3 children alone, how to even survive without him.
The primary breadwinner, likely.
Very likely. And then you have the survivors. Their scars aren't just physical.
No, the emotional trauma must be immense. Lingering for years, probably.
Absolutely. Take Baldev Singh, a 30-year-old mechanic. He escaped, but with second-degree burns, significant injuries.
Did he survive?
He survived, but he lost his own brother in the blast.
Oh, terrible.
He remembers vividly just stepping away for a moment, just a brief moment, and then his words were, everything was gone.
Wow. That speaks volumes, doesn't it? That survivor's guilt, the grief.
It's a heavy burden to carry. These stories, they just underscore the profound human cost.
Despite all this pain, this unimaginable shock, how did the community in Dasuya actually respond?
Well, while they were clearly reeling, knocked sideways by this, the community also showed incredible resilience. It's often the way in these crises.
People pull together.
They do. Neighbors banded together, sharing whatever little they had. That basic human instinct to support each other just kicked in. Local schools opened up as temporary shelters.
That's heartening, at least.
It is. But let's be clear, the pain of loss, the sheer struggle for recovery, that's going to linger for years. This event has scarred Dasuya deeply, long term.
So, turning to the cause. Beyond the spark igniting the gas, what did the investigators actually find? What allowed this volatile situation to build up in the first place?
Well, as the investigation unfolded, a really troubling picture started to emerge. The primary cause, yes, seems to be that leaking valve on the LPG tanker.
Which was owned by a private company.
Your private transport company, yes. Gas had apparently been escaping for, quote, some time, forming that invisible explosive cloud that just needed a trigger.
And we already mentioned people smelled it for hours. That just screams failure of awareness, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. That is such a critical detail, a complete lapse in both awareness and, crucially, action.
Right. Smelling it is one thing, doing something is another.
Exactly. Workers nearby reported the smell for hours, yet nothing was done. It points to a major failure in training, in safety protocols, in basic oversight.
They thought it was normal. That's the phrase that sticks with me.
It speaks volumes, doesn't it? Maybe a lack of safety education, perhaps a poor perception of risk in that specific environment.
So it's really not just about one faulty valve failing on one particular day.
No. It points to something much deeper, more systemic.
Like what?
Well, the investigation revealed the tanker itself hadn't been properly inspected in months.
On months, with something carrying LPG.
Yes. And on top of that, the facility, the industrial estate itself, lacked adequate fire suppression systems, things that could have maybe mitigated the fire spread after the initial blast.
And evacuation, were there plans for people living nearby?
Apparently not. No clear evacuation protocols were in place. That left both the residents in those nearby homes and the workers incredibly vulnerable when disaster struck. They had nowhere to go, no warning.
That sounds like, well, I've heard the term culture of negligence. Is that what we're looking at here?
That phrase, yeah, it's often used by safety consultants, people like Dr. Anjali Sharma. And it seems quite apt for certain industrial landscapes, sadly including parts of India.
What does it mean in practice, though?
It describes a situation where, often due to economic pressures, companies might cut corners on safety. They see robust protocols, proper maintenance, training. They see it as an expense, not an essential investment.
Penny pinching with lives at stake.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And sometimes regulators might, let's say, turn a blind eye, perhaps due to being understaffed, lacking resources, or sometimes even corruption. They fail to enforce the rules that are already on the books.
Creating this dangerous environment where something like Hoshiarpur becomes almost inevitable.
That's the fear. It's not just a single mechanical failure. It's often a systemic breakdown, a failure at multiple levels.
Given the scale of the explosion, the emergency response must have been huge, but also incredibly challenging.
Oh, absolutely huge.
Hmm.
It triggered an immediate massive response.
Uh-huh.
Firefighters rushed in from all over Hoshiarpur district.
How many trucks?
Over a dozen fire trucks were involved, battling this incredibly intense blaze. One rescuer used the phrase, like fighting a dragon.
Wow.
It took hours just to bring the inferno under control. Flames were apparently reaching heights of 20 feet or more.
And rescue teams?
Rescue teams, including the NDRF, that's India's National Disaster Response Force, they worked tirelessly. But their efforts were massively hampered by the constant terrifying risk of secondary explosions from other materials on site.
A truly hazardous scene for the first responders, too.
Extremely. And we already touched on the hospitals. Just completely overwhelmed.
Scrambling to treat burns, fractures, breathing difficulties.
Exactly. Operating way beyond their normal capacity. And while the Punjab government did announce financial aid, you mentioned 5 lakh for families of the deceased, 50,000 for the injured.
Which is about, what, $6,000 and $600 respectively?
Roughly, yes. For many, facing such profound, irreplaceable loss, it feels like a very small gesture. Symbolic, perhaps, but hardly addresses the long-term needs.
In the aftermath of something like this, grief often turns to anger, right? A demand for answers, for accountability. Did that happen in Hoshiarpur?
Oh, definitely. That pattern held true. The initial shock and mourning quickly morphed into this potent anger.
Understandably.
Residents were demanding accountability. Who allowed this to happen? Who is responsible for these failures? Protests actually erupted outside the district administration offices.
What is that like?
Families holding pictures of their lost loved ones, chanting slogans, making it clear they believed, and probably rightly, this wasn't just an accident. It was negligence.
That feeling that it was preventable.
A very strong, deep-seated feeling. And that fuels this powerful desire for justice, for someone to be held responsible.
Beyond the terrible human cost, what about the wider economic impact on a community like Dasuya?
Yeah, the economic aftershocks are significant and they'll be felt for a long time. That industrial estate, it was a key source of livelihood for hundreds of families.
And now it's shut down.
Shut down,
Yeah.
at least pending the full investigation and safety assessments.
Yeah.
Small businesses in the area, many already operating on thin margins, they now face a really uncertain future.
Compounding the suffering.
Exactly. It adds another layer of despair. The economic vitality of the whole area has taken a serious hit.
This brings us to a really crucial and frankly quite alarming point. This tragedy in Hoshiarpur,
Oh,
it's not some isolated freak event.
definitely no.
We're seeing this disturbing pattern of similar industrial accidents. Not just across India, but in neighboring regions too. You think of that LPG tanker explosion in Pakistan's Punjab earlier in 2025 that killed 6 people.
Or the chemical factory fire in Gujarat in 2024 claiming 8 lives.
It feels like more than just bad luck. It feels like a recurring theme almost.
It really highlights this critical tension, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in rapidly developing economies.
Development versus safety.
In a nutshell, yes. India's industrial growth is a massive economic engine, absolutely vital, lifting millions out of poverty. But it often comes with these huge, often hidden costs.
Costs paid by workers and nearby communities.
Precisely. Millions work in potentially hazardous conditions, often with minimal oversight. And even though there are strict guidelines on the books, from bodies like the Bureau of Indian Standards,
Enforcement is the issue.
enforcement is patchy, inconsistent, sometimes non-existent. It begs the question, can this rapid development model be truly sustainable if safety isn't baked in right from the start and rigorously enforced?
What do the statistics tell us, the sheer numbers?
Well, the human cost is just staggering. A report from 2024 indicated over 1,200 deaths from industrial accidents across India in just 1 year.
1,200 people.
And thousands more injured. Burns, like we saw in Hoshiarpur, are incredibly common and devastating, often leading to lifelong disability, disfigurement, immense psychological trauma.
And the economic cost?
Beyond the individual family losses, the overall economic toll runs into crores of rupees annually. That's hundreds of millions of US dollars lost every year due to preventable accidents. It's a hemorrhage of lives and resources.
So, if this is a systemic issue, a pattern, what's the way forward? How do we break this cycle? What can actually be done?
Well, experts in industrial safety, like Professor Vikram Mehra from IIT Delhi, they argue very forcefully for what he terms a national safety overhaul.
More than just tweaking rules.
Much more. It means a fundamental shift. Stricter regulations, yes, but also much better, more practical training for workers, and crucially, unwavering accountability at every single level.
From the shop floor to the boardroom to the regulator's office.
Exactly. No excuses. And Professor Mayer also stresses the vital role of technology. Things we have available now, like real-time gas detection systems, automated shut-off valves, technology that can act as a critical safety net, reducing the reliance on human vigilance alone, mitigating the risk of human error leading to catastrophe.
That sounds like a huge task, that kind of overhaul, but absolutely essential if we want to stop seeing headlines like Hoshiarpur.
It's a massive undertaking, but the cost of inaction is clearly far, far greater.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, looking back at the Hoshiarpur fire, what are the clearest, most immediate lessons we need to take away from this awful tragedy?
I think the Hoshiarpur fire has to serve as a really stark, painful wake-up call. It just has to. While the Punjab government has promised a thorough investigation, which is necessary.
The community, and frankly the whole country, needs more than promises. They need concrete action.
Absolutely. Looking at everything we've discussed, several critical steps seem glaringly obvious if we want to prevent similar tragedies.
Okay, let's list them.
First, stricter enforcement. Safety regulations need teeth, and inspections must be mandatory, regular, and thorough, not just box-ticking exercises.
Right, real oversight.
Second, better training for workers, empowering them to actually recognize dangers and feel safe reporting them without fear of reprisal. And alongside that, public awareness campaigns for people living near these industrial zones. They need to know the risks and what to do.
Knowledge is power, in this case, potentially life-saving power.
Third, real investment in modern safety infrastructure. Proper fire suppression systems, clear, accessible emergency exits, maybe buffer zones. Things that cost money, yes, but save lives.
And fourth,
And finally, perhaps the most crucial element, real, transparent accountability for negligence. When corners are cut, when warnings are ignored, there have to be serious consequences. Otherwise, the cycle just continues.
this whole deep dive into Hoshiarpur, it's a powerful reminder, isn't it, of how fragile life can be and how vital vigilance is when we're dealing with industrial hazards.
It really is.
It really forces us to ask that fundamental question. How do we as a society actually strike that balance between industrial progress, which we need, and the fundamental right to safety and well-being for every single person? It's the core dilemma.
And maybe for you, listening, what's your role in this? In demanding that accountability and advocating for a future where preventable tragedies like the Hoshiarpur fire become truly a thing of the past, just a tragic memory, not a recurring nightmare, something to think about.